Hello, I'm David Mercier, photographer. This is the first vlog of 2023. Daddy's got a new fucking camera! Ugh! Hey, 2/6/23 today. It was decent when I came out here. It was actually kind of sunny. Supposed to be 50 degrees today, but it's pretty windy. But considering it was like -12 like just 2 days ago, this ain't bad. That was fucking cold, -12, yeah. And there was some serious wind going too, and it's just starting to come back now, so I'm gonna have to make this quick out here. I don't think I'm gonna be out here long anyway, because there ain't much for critters. I did see some small birds earlier, but that's about it. But I'm back out here at the bird blind, which son of a bitch survived the winter. Well, surviving the winter. Winter's not over yet. Still got about another month. This past winter, my whole world has been like flipped on its fucking ear, okay? Everything has changed. I mean, everything. Every little detail, everything, the way I shoot the photos, the way I freaking process them on the computer, the way I freaking carry the damn camera has changed. But it's all for the good, I think, so far. I'm hoping. Basically what I do in the winter time when too damn cold to get outside and just sit here and shoot photographs and video birds and crap like that. So I'll be sitting inside working on guitars and watching YouTube videos about photography and photography tips and such, how-tos, and get back to basics, And one thing I've always noticed, they always say, crank up them ISOs. I believe I got a video like from a year or two ago even talking about the same thing. Gotta crank up them ISOs, And it was something that I started doing, and then I was looking at the photos and I'm realizing, well, you crank up the ISOs, and now you got ISO noise. Okay, well, especially for someone like me who wants to get into the print selling game, that's not a good thing. So that ISO noise would come back down, those shutter speeds would be dropping, those apertures would be freaking opening up as much as it could. I mean, and it was just, you're not getting the best shots. I'm getting good shots, don't get me wrong. They're good enough for like social media and shit like that, but that's not what I'm interested in. So I started watching some photography, how-to crap, blah, blah, blah. So one thing I noticed all these photographers and these little seminars and crap like that we're talking about was this TOPAZ Labs DeNoise AI program that's out now. So I looked into it, and I'd say probably an hour later I freaking bought a copy of it because it's insane what it can do for ISO noise levels. It's nuts. Crazy good. They also have Sharpen AI, which does like sharpening through AI. Another one called Gigapixel, which actually increases the resolution of your photos if you're like someone who's like a heavy cropper, and you crop your picture down to this big, you can actually still print it out to this big, which is kind of neat. So anyways, with DeNoise AI, ISO noise, except for most extreme cases, isn't even a problem anymore. This changes everything. It's insane. I tell you, you gotta see this. You gotta check this program out to believe it, but it blew my mind. You don't want to go nuts with it, but use it in little subtle amounts, if you want to just clear up that little bit of noise. Yeah, it works freaking amazing. I highly recommend it. Go check it out yourself. TOPAZ Labs DeNoise AI. It's insane. Because as much as I love Lightroom, and I thought the noise reduction in that was balls, this DeNoise AI just blows it away. So my next problem is I have a bunch of Canon L lenses that I like using. And they're all full frame lenses. And I don't have a full frame camera that I actually use anymore. I still have my 5D, but it's getting retired. It's getting harder and harder to find batteries for it, and it's the only reason. The camera still works great. This thing is still a beast. I would still use it for professional work if I had anything, but I don't really do that shit anymore. just this. I've been wanting a new camera for a while now. I've been looking at this one particular camera for the past few years and really had my eye on it, really had my heart set on it, but problem is it's like a $6,000 freaking camera. And up until, I don't know, I'd say sometime last year when I started working full time again, I really couldn't afford that. But now I can. Daddy's got a good job now. So I started saving up some money, you know, I had a few bonuses coming up at work. I'm like, okay, let's see what they got out there for cameras. I got this all written down in this little notebook here because it's just way too many facts to remember here coming up. I was using APS-C sensors with full frame lenses, okay? And one of the things I've been noticing is, for one, it degrades the sharpness. Not much, but a little bit, and it's just doesn't look good. I actually found using crop sensor lenses with crop sensor cameras works a hell of a lot better. The other thing is, I'm a heavy cropper. I'm gonna admit it. Coming out, a lot of denial. I am a heavy fucking cropper. In cropping, you're only supposed to, you know, if it's this big, you go chink. Not me, I'm shrunk. Yeah, it's another thing that degrades your image quality. You lose a lot of sharpness, things start pixelating. You lose resolution that way. So what did I need in the camera myself? I mean, I'm not really doing professional work anymore, but I still like professional results. Other than that, high megapixels. I want high megapixels because, like I said, I'm a heavy cropper. So I'm thinking 30 to 50 megapixels. Low ISO noise for printing. I actually went to a website I found in my travels. A website called, I believe it's Photons to Photos. And you go to like the third thing in the list, and it shows you ISO noise levels. A lot of the big manufacturers, you know, bigger name cameras. And it's really interesting because the first thing that I found out was my 5D Classic is like amazing for freaking ISO noise levels. And I mean, the thing only went up to like freaking, I think like 1,000 ISO or something. 12 megapixel sensor, but that's why it was so good at it, because it was that 12 megapixel sensor. So it was those nice big photo wells or photo diodes, whatever you call them, that just let all that light come right in. Full frame sensor, definitely got to have a full frame sensor. High burst rate and a good buffer capacity. Got to have both of those, but not too high. 7 to 12 frames per second I was thinking was like the sweet spot, because like my ADD, because I went from the 5D had 3 frames per second, which is like nothing, to the the ADD had 7.5 frames per second, 8 frames per second, something like that. And I would just be going through photos for hours. Here's a big one, optical viewfinder, because I'm not ready for EVF yet at this point. I've heard too many bad things about them for doing wildlife, like shutter lag and blackout. I mean, my eyes ain't that great these days. I have enough trouble seeing through the ADD, and I was just worried, you know, staring at like a electronic viewfinder, it's got me like staring at a freaking TV screen with one eye, you know. Wasn't really an option, but we'll get to that. F8 focus with teleconverters. Don't really have to have it because I'm a manual focus shooter and I don't really use F8 focus. She's only usually get like the center autofocus point, but it's better than nothing. Ooh, here's a good one. Intervalometer. Yep, Daddy loves his time lapse. Damn right he does. EF mount, or adaptable. Oh, here's another good one. Anti-alias filterless. Apparently, Canon likes to put these things called anti-aliasing filters in their cameras. And what this does is certain patterns that are like too fine for the pixels in the sensor to actually replicate, it'll just like give it like almost like a blank look, and it'll like make it look like it does weird shit, trust me. So what Canon does, they put these filters in there, you know, just like a little pane of glass in there or something somehow. And what it does is it actually softens the image a touch so that those really fine details aren't as fine anymore, you know. they're more spread out a little bit. When you're doing photography, it's not a good thing because it's actually somewhat degrading your image quality. So I was looking for something that has no anti-alias, I can't even say that fucking word, no anti-aliasing filter in it. Holy wind. Jesus. So what were my choices? Well, the one that I was looking at for the longest time was the 1DX Mark III. Canon's flagship camera. Thing is a beast. The problem is it's only a 20 megapixel sensor. People like me, that's not a good thing. The next one, which has a 30 megapixel sensor, is the 5D Mark IV. He was looking really good. There's a few things I didn't like about that one, but everything's got its pros and cons, you know. The next one I was looking at is the 5D SR, which is the 50 megapixel. So it's like, ooh, yeah, 50 megapixels, huh? Oh yeah. Problem with that one is it's got super high ISO noise. And it's like one of the worst damn cameras for it, from what I understand. And according to Photons to Photos, yeah, it's pretty freaking bad. It'd be a good one for landscape, I guess. And I think that's what the camera was actually geared for, was like landscape photographers. So you're going to be using that in some good light anyways. So that was really it for my DSLR options. Basically those three, the 1DX Mark III, the 5D Mark IV, and the 5DSR. But I was looking at other stuff. I was looking at lenses and things too. And a lot of people were talking about how they use these new Canon R freaking cameras. The new Canon R mirrorless series. So I was figuring, well, I'll look into them. I'll see what they got. You know, maybe there's something that maybe catches my eye. It might be something good for video or something maybe. I don't know. So what were my choices? Well, I looked at the R3, which is kind of like the 1DX Mark III. I looked at the R5, and I looked at the R5C, which is, those are both 45 megapixel. And those were actually sounding pretty good. The only difference between the R5 and the R5C is the R5C isn't like a photo camera with some, you know, video features. It's more like half photo camera, half video camera, you know, or excuse me, half cinema camera. Kind of sound like a fun one. But then I also needed a video camera. Yes. So what was I looking for in a video camera? I wanted 4K, 5K, or 6K. I wanted full frame or Super 35. 24 and 60 FPS, that's really all I need. I'm not really shooting a whole lot of slow-mo stuff, you know. Maybe someday I will, but just I haven't for the past few years, and so it's not a really big thing for me. EF mount, gotta have EF mount. Focus peaking and zebras. Oh, gotta have the zebras. I do a lot of manual focusing, and I like to know when my highlights are blown out too, so. And a decent autofocus. That's the only time I really used it. Never really used autofocus on the other cameras because it worked so freaking horrible, and I use teleconverters, and my ADD will do the f8 thing, but like, you know, about 70-30, and whether it's gonna get it or not, usually not, so that's why I do manual focus. But I got my new hand warmer though. Check this thing out. This thing's fucking sweet. It's USB powered. Works pretty good. So my video camera choices, I was looking at the R5. I mean, I figured, you know, electronic viewfinder would be good for video at least, you know, I don't mind it for that. The R5C, C70, the C200, still looking at that one. That one looks like it's a fun camera. Of course, the 1DX Mark III and the 5D Mark IV. Because like I said, there is not one camera that Canon makes that will give me everything that I want. But at the same time, I kind of need more than one camera anyways, you know? Because if I'm like shooting a freaking bald eagle flying overhead and there's a turtle sitting on a freaking rock over there getting some sun and got some good clouds moving through or something, and I'm shooting some awesome time lapses, I mean, that's 3 cameras I need right there. I've been through the days of like, you know, while I'm shooting video on the tripod, I'm kind of screwed on when the bald eagle flies through. So I need more than one camera anyways. I got one for now. Where was I? Yeah. Yeah, everything's just a compromise. I mean, everything's got its pros and cons, you know. One camera has all this, but it doesn't have that. One camera has all that, but it doesn't have this. You know, you can sit there and you can just go through it for hours. And that's just not the scope of this vlog I really wanted to get into. But anyways, to narrow it down, my choices was the 5 DSR, the 50 megapixel beast, or the R5, a mirrorless camera. The R5, I will say, has everything that I wanted in the camera except for the optical viewfinder. It has the electronic viewfinder, obviously. And I have never used one before myself, so I don't even know what I was getting into when if I did pick one up. So I was trying to think of some options, way I could try one out, maybe go to Best Buy or something, you know, and try one out there. I could do that, but I'm only going to be playing with it for a second, and it's not going to give me a real good usage of it, you know, see if I like it. So I figured I'd rent one. So I rented an R5. Hey, 12/8/22. It's finally here. The R5, straight from Borrow Lenses. Yes, I do have to give it back. It's been here about an hour. I haven't even picked the thing up yet because I wanted to record my first impressions with it, see how it felt in my hand and everything else compared to my 5D and my 80D. But one thing I did realize though, I kind of fucked up, and it's kind of my own damn fault, but it would have been nice if I got a notification about it from freaking Borrow Lenses, seeing as how they're the ones who freaking know about this shit. The R5 takes a Type B CF Express card, and I went and rented a Type A CF Express card reader. So it would have been nice if they notified me about that. So I jumped on Amazon, found one, Lexar for like 60 bucks. It should be here in like 2 days, so here we go. Ooh, you can feel that sensor bopping around inside there. That's a mighty big viewfinder too. That thing is like huge. Compared to the 5D, yeah, it's a little bit bigger. It's not, I mean, it's got a nice feel to it. I thought it was going to be all plasticky, but no, it actually feels like it's almost metal. Yeah, maybe it is like a plastic or something, but yeah, it almost feels metalish. Kind of really, really hard plastic. I don't need to go through everything on the camera. I mean, obviously, you probably already know everything that this thing has. If not, there's other people out there who can explain it a hell of a lot better than me. I only got it for my needs. That's fucking sweet. This is the same 3 tiny pins. You might not, you know, you probably won't be able to see it on there. It's the same shutter release connection on this one. Just these 3 little tiny pins. It's the same exact one I got on here. I wonder if my shutter release will actually work with this. I got my wireless triggers that I always use for like the long exposure stuff, the fire dancers and shit like that. Okay, so my main concern was this guy right here, this electronic viewfinder. I want to see how I feel about this. That's my whole reason for renting this damn camera. I mean, everything else about it I love. I mean, spec-wise, I haven't actually tried it yet, but let's get a damn lens on this thing and see what happens, huh? You know, we'll start out with just straight 300. See how that works for us. I kind of got to use the adapter, huh? I forgot about that part. Here we go. Moment of freaking truth here. Of course, I got nothing to look at. A little statue set up over there. Camera on. I can already see that, like, the live view automatically pops right on, huh? Oh, let me check out this viewfinder. Oh, that's pretty quick. Oh. See, one thing I was worried about, right? I kept hearing there was like a split millisecond lag before the viewfinder came on. It's always in like live view until you put your eye up to it, and then it shuts off, and then you can see inside the viewfinder. I mean, right now it's on. Boom. Instantaneous. Wow. I'm actually kind of impressed how fast it goes. Wow, it's a hell of a nice looking viewfinder too. Zippy autofocus, man, holy moly. I never even liked autofocus. So there's that. So let's see what we got. Yeah, that's pretty damn sharp. No noise, whoops. Pretty freaking sharp all the way through, I might add. Damn, what are my settings here? We're looking at 125 f5.6. 12,800 ISO. Are you fucking kidding me? That shot was 12,800 ISO. What the fuck? I've never owned a fucking camera that could shoot at 12,800 ISO and be that fucking clean. That's just insane. Oh, here's another craziest thing, right? My image stabilizer was off. So here's with stabilization. Okay. That's fucking stabilized. Holy fuck. Yeah, that's like, I could freaking shoot video with this if it's so fucking stabilized. Wow. Wow. You see, I just picked this thing up freaking 20 minutes ago, man, and it's already fucking blowing my mind. I mean, the image quality inside here, I don't think anybody's really talked about how actually good that fucking looks. Because that looks absolutely amazing. I mean, that's like high definition TV almost, you know. I got a freaking 60-inch LG or 65-inch LG sitting right here, you know, 4K and everything, but this looks a hell of a lot better than that. So the R5 showed up on Thursday. I returned it on Tuesday. By Friday, I owned another one. I fucking love this camera. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, I barely put any real time in with this sucker so far, but... Oh, there's the other thing I never even mentioned. The flip screen. Forgot I had to have that. So my final thoughts on the R5. For a photo camera, it's fucking great. The autofocus is amazing. I mean, I've never been a fan of autofocus in my life, and this is just blowing my mind. Another thing that just changed everything for me. The EVF is actually easier to see for my freaking crappy eyes. I'll tell you that right now. Holy cow, I mean, I could barely see this thing that's sitting in front of me right now on the notepad unless I put my glasses on. Now I can see it great. Your own personal high definition television, you know? It's just, and it doesn't strain the eye at all either. That was one thing I was worried about, was just getting some eye strain or something going. The detail you get with that 45 megapixel sensor, whoo boy, is it sweet. But it is unforgiving, I will say that. You're gonna want to be as steady as a freaking mountain. Oh, the third wheel for the ISO, that is fucking cool. That I absolutely love. That is one thing that cameras should have had for years now. If you're familiar with Canon cameras at all, it's quick and easy to pick up and use. A couple minutes and I was up and running with that thing, you know. The ISO noise levels are low, baby. Low. I was shooting at a lot of stuff at like 12,800 and it was like still looking like pretty decent. I mean, that's about as high as you want to go, but maybe 16,000, but... And I'm inspired again. Honestly, when I got my T3i, when I fell in love with it, I was out everywhere I could think of to possibly go with that thing and just take pictures with it. And when I got my 5D, I was inspired again. Oh, I got that full frame sensor. Ooh, it's nice and sexy. And the image quality is absolutely amazing off this thing, you know? The camera inspired me. It made me want to get out and do my thing. The 80D, it's a good camera, but I don't think it was ever the camera for me, despite the fact that I've been using it since like 2018, late 2017, I think, somewhere in there. Yeah, November 2017, I believe I bought it. You know, it's February 2023. So I got a few years out of it. It's a good camera. It definitely is if you have one. I mean, I have no fault with it. So what don't I like about the R5 to this point? This CR3 conversion sucks. Because I gotta like convert everything to DNG just to open it in Lightroom, unless I do through Canon DPP, which if you ever tried Canon DPP, you know how much of a nightmare that is. It lets you convert to TIFF, and it only lets you do like one at a time, and it's just, it takes a long time. When you convert to DNG also, you lose your camera profiles in Lightroom. I did anyways, but I mean, I don't have the subscription. I have Lightroom 6, so that was like the last one they made before subscriptions came out. So that kind of sucks. You do get to use lens corrections and chromatic aberration adjustments and stuff like that still, so that's good. Yeah, when I'm proofing my photos in Lightroom, I noticed preview window is like super low res. And it's like, I don't get that because my other cameras never had that problem, and you could zoom in on them and they'd come out looking great. When you put them into like the developer module to actually edit them, you know, it was like a little higher resolution, sure, but I don't know, maybe it's because of the 45 megapixels photos, but you barely let you zoom in. But at the same time, proofing isn't really a problem either anymore because everything's pretty much at focus, which is fucking blowing my mind still. Holy cow. The video on my computer doesn't agree. So I have to use a program called Handbrake, some a friend at work told me about. I have to convert the videos in that. So yeah, that's about it. So right now I think my #1 priority is a new lens. I'm not looking to replace my 300, but I want to get something bigger. I probably won't have it for the beginning of spring, but it's definitely something I want to be doing in the spring. I'm looking for another video camera too. Maybe some kind of dedicated cinema camera like the C200 or something. I think that would be a fun one to haul around. Maybe a third body too, just for something for like the time lapse. So yeah, that's about it. I love the R5. I mean, this thing, coming from shooting DSLRs for the past whatever how many years, it blows my mind. It really does. I never thought I would convert to mirrorless after all the bad stuff I heard when they first came out, but I had no problem with it. But yeah, I kind of like the electronic first curtain shutter because you get the satisfying clicking noise, 20 frames per second, which, I mean, I'm just shooting in small bursts anyways. I don't need 20 frames per second. I'm not like tracking the animal through the freaking sky, you know? It's just a little unnecessary in my book. Well, I mean, if it was a bald eagle or something, you know, like that, yeah, I probably would. Who am I kidding? I totally would. So I wanted to show you this too, because this is pretty fucking neat. It's another thing that changed everything for me. The only reason it changed is because I usually carry my camera on this side, but now I have to carry it on the right side because it's the only way this works. You just grab the camera like this and poof, and right back down. Poof. You know what I'm saying? Right up to the eye. Good to go. It was cheap too. It was only like 18 bucks on Amazon. Anyways, I'm looking forward to hanging out with y'all this year again. Gonna have some fun this year, I tell you what. But thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. Tell me I suck. Give me a thumbs up. And I'll catch you in the next vlog. Later.